because following a calling is it's never been comfortable. Like it feels right, but not comfortable.
And so, yeah, I was a little worried when you first sent those questions because I don't know that it was ever a moment of like grand spiritual awakening. It's the correct way of describing it. I think it's just a, a tiny voice that says, maybe this.
I'm not going to make a huge mark on this world, but I want to make a mark. You know,
A lot of it, answering the call is being open to wherever God pulls you and letting go of control and just in that moment being receptive to what you're supposed to be doing in that moment.
I realize that I'm not going to be motivated probably to move mountains. So, you know, one-on-one service, helping somebody out for an hour or a day or an afternoon is kind of what I'm built to do right now, I think, at my advanced stage.
I think I'd been practicing law for a long time. That was a decision I made kind of after college. That's what I wanted to do, and I had been working in that field for, at that point in time, like 10 plus years. But it was about the time my youngest, when Fisher was born, that like I think that's the same for a lot of people. I began to reflect more on what I was doing. Life changes a lot, right? Life gets harder. There's a lot more responsibilities. So there's a lot of things hitting at once. And I really started thinking about where I spent a lot of my time, which was at work, and I was working a ton, and the meaning behind it. And the more I thought about it, the more I felt like I needed to make a change, and that I wanted to make a change, and that there was something out there that would be more meaningful, that would be more fitting with kind of the plan, and to be specific, God's plan. But I didn't know what to do. And so I floundered for a long time. Things between when I first started thinking about it and when I made a change was about 7 years. One of the things I realized is I wasn't very good at asking for help. I kind of tried to do it on my own. I started with some books. I read a lot of books. I did meet with Pastor John. I call him Pastor John II, John Wright. And then eventually with Michael. And all of my talks with friends and people I didn't know well, it was hard to make much traction. I think they didn't know where I was coming from. And so I was just kind of out there for a long time. And, a lot of praying. My vision was like, all right, God, I need to make a change. Like, what's the answer? And I kind of expected like a burning bush moment, like on a plate, here's what you do. And I didn't get anything. And for my faith, that was really hard. And it turned me actually pretty bitter. And the more I thought about it, the more I felt like I needed to make a move, and I wasn't moving. And so it was like, it was a tough time for a number of years, like trying to reconcile this thought that like I can do this work that I'm doing. I can do it well. There's things I like about it. Like I need to be thankful for my blessings, but feeling that it wasn't the right place I needed to be for a lot of reasons. And I remember one thing that John Wright told me was like, was that I can't remember the Bible verse. I apologize, but something to the effect of knocking on the door and not getting an answer. And it's like sometimes you have to. I remember saying, Scott, sometimes you just have to keep knocking. And I felt like, all right, just keep knocking. But I kept knocking, and I felt like I wasn't getting any answers. And so it was a challenging time for my faith, and it was a challenging time for just work and everything. It was hard because I wasn't in the place where I needed to be, but I wasn't making the shift. One of the things I realized was that I wasn't listening. I thought I was listening, but I wasn't. And it was partly my lifestyle was so consumed with what I was doing, being busy, and trying to overthink this. And finally, I decided that I wanted to take like a mini sabbatical. And what that meant was just slowing down my law practice, stop taking cases where I could have more time for myself and family. And when I got like that breathing space, I know it was a privilege. When I got some breathing space and slowed down, things became more clear. And finally, Lauren really encouraged me, like, just do something, try something. When are you going to get on it? And she did that a number of times, and finally I did. And so I picked up the phone. I found a teacher program at UT, and I got on the phone and made a call and talked to a professor there. And he encouraged me. I was worried about being too old, being in a second career, all those things. And he encouraged me to do it. So I applied, and that started the process. It was kind of like taking a few steps into the pool. I ended up going back to grad school and getting a teaching degree, and it's been one of the most unique blessings of my life. Yeah, so I teach social studies high school at a really unique school called Garza High School. It's an AISD public school. It's just probably a couple miles east of here. And what we do is we serve students who, for whatever reason, and there's a bunch of reasons, their high school isn't working out for them. And so students that have had mental health issues, students that have had disciplinary issues, students that have been bullied, students that are bullies. We have young mothers, just kind of a mix, and it's been a really special place to be for I'm starting year 3 right now. So there was there were a few times along the road where I was like, what have I done? I see it all over it now that I look back. There's some moments where I can see I always think of, I think one of the pastors said, like, where God winks at you.
When my job was eliminated back in around 2007 or 8, I went on a consulting basis, so I had my own hours as I wanted them, so I started doing the breakfast back then. So the afternoon that I got laid off, I went to the blood bank and made a donation just to have, not be by myself. My blood pressure was the highest it's ever been. The Christian message is primarily a message to a community, not to individuals. And so that the community, being part of trying to make the community a better group, has become important to us in all the various ways that we volunteer.
Most of my professional life, I would say, for the most part, was spent serving people who were middle to upper middle class, who could afford it, basically, private medical care. Well, now it's been pleasant to sort of flip that switch and do things for people who, need it and can't afford it, or whatever. It broadens my faith, I think, to broaden the horizons of the people that I'm with and around. One of the things that has been important to me, I think, is learning more about the history of racism in the country. I don't think I was ever overtly racist, but when you immerse yourself in some education, some faith-based education, you can pick at areas that where you fell a little short, and or a lot short in some instances. So I think that again, that's dealing with people, and that's why I like to, I guess, pick people that are different from me, because children of God like everybody else, and